Lowe's knows what makes SpringFest savings even better are member-only doorbuster deals. Right now, rewards members can save $40 on an Allen & Roth Chesler Gold faucet. Was $99, now $59. Plus, save $110 on a Cobalt 40-volt battery trimmer and blower combo kit. Was $279, now $169. Lowe's, we help, you save. Valid through 3/24 while supplies last. Program subject to terms and conditions. Details at lowes.com/terms. Subject to change.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Uh-oh, the last cookie.
You can get a new box of cookies in as fast as an hour with Walmart Express Delivery.
Are you my guilty self-conscience?
No, I'm the voice offering you promo code EXPRESS for free delivery on your first order.
Hey, who ate my cookies?
You mean, these cookies?
Order now. Welcome to your Walmart. Promotion valid for first express delivery order. $50 minimum subject to availability. Restrictions apply.
You're listening to the Animation Addicts Podcast, episode 294, Trolls Band Together. Our excuse to dunk on JT.
Welcome to the Animation Addicts Podcast with the Rotoscopers, the #1 place to get your animation fix with animation addicts just like you. Each episode, we dive into the wonderful world of animation featuring Disney, DreamWorks, Pixar, and everything in between. From hilarious discussions and movie reviews to interviews with industry insiders, this show's mission is to brighten your day through our love of animation. So hop on your nerdy couch, grab some snacks, and get ready to hang out with your animation besties because it's time to dive into today's episode. Hey there, animation addicts. My name is Chelsea Robson.
And I'm Morgan Stradling.
We've banded together and we've joined forces to bring you yet another episode of the Animation Addicts Podcast with the Rotoscopers. And we're excited to be here.
You might say that we have achieved the perfect family harmony.
We're both coughing.
With the stupid coughs.
Oh, gosh.
Pardon me. All right, so let's get some background info about this movie. The movie is Trolls Band Together. This is the threequel, the third Trolls film from DreamWorks Animation Studios. The directors are Walt Dorn and Tom Heitz. It was released November 17th, 2023. The budget was $95 million, and I thought this was very surprising. It made worldwide gross $207.7 million. Pretty low, shockingly.
Yeah, that's low.
I was kind of expecting, like, when in my mind, if you were to say, like, well, how much did the third Trolls movie make? I was like, oh, maybe 400 million. But no.
I mean, number 2 made about that.
And that was released exclusively on, like, the digital premiere situation, which was a little different.
Yeah, so this was a bit disappointing. I will say, though, that when I was hearing about it, they didn't do a great job of marketing it. I didn't really feel like I needed to see it, I'm not sure why, but that was my overall, like, do I need to see this?
Yeah, the only kind of promotions that I really paid attention to was from NSYNC and Justin Timberlake themselves, because I follow NSYNC on Instagram, and so, or at least I did, I don't remember, but they kept, like, teasing that there was this new song that the band was back together, right? And people were like, oh my gosh, it's a reunion, they're doing this. And at first it wasn't quite clear. I can't remember. It's been a while.
It wasn't. Well, no, you and we realized that it was for, like,
it was for the movie.
For Trolls.
Yes,
yeah,
but
we knew
they
that it
didn't,
was for Trolls.
And they weren't initially saying what it was for. It was just like, here's this new song that we did, right?
Right. And that was not a very smart thing of them to do. Like, it made people more mad than anything.
Yes. Well, because it was kind of a bait and switch. Like, all these fans thought, oh my gosh, after all these years, 25 years, the band is back together. This is amazing. Then we're getting a new CD and obviously a reunion tour. Like, this could have been the biggest moneymaker apart from Taylor Swift, right? And then they just,
especially with the Taylor Swift stuff, like Taylor Swift, she just had, and this is not a Taylor Swift podcast, even though we've done several, like mentioned her many times. But this is like, it was a movement during the summer of 2023, and everyone was going to that. And then it was like clear, it was not too long after when they presented her with the Moon Man on was it MTV Awards? Yes. It was one of the award shows, and everyone was speculating, and she was like, "Oh my gosh, what are you guys doing?" And everyone was like,
they had come back to actually be presenters, which was wild.
Yeah, and everybody was like, "What? No!" It was just a lot of hype for like normal people to be like, just for trolls, what?
Right.
So that was a bit of a downer. I don't even know if that was that even like connected to this.
I think they all started blending together, and then it became very clear that, oh, this is just a song for the movie, and that's about it. Right. And then once the movie was released, then they were like, yeah, sorry guys, that's, and they do interviews with Lance, as he was like going to the airport and paparazzi, like, are you back together? He's like, no, unfortunately, I'd want to, but that's Justin's call, essentially. So that leads us into the Justin of the whole situation. Like,
this episode is brought to you by Hyundai. Whether you're running errands with the kids or heading on a weekend escape, the new 2025 Hyundai Tucson Hybrid is packed with class-leading advanced safety features like blind spot view monitor, forward collision avoidance assist, and wireless phone charging, so you can stay focused on what really matters. Learn more about the new Tucson Hybrid at HyundaiUSA.com.
I can say to my new Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra, hey, find a keto-friendly restaurant nearby and text it to Beth and Steve. And it does, without me lifting a finger. So I can get in more squats anywhere I can. 1, 2, 3.
Will that be cash or credit?
Credit. 4.
Galaxy S25 Ultra, the AI companion that does the heavy lifting so you can do you. Get yours at Samsung.com. Compatible with select apps. Requires Google Gemini account. Results may vary based on input. Check responses for accuracy.
Hey, Fidelity. What's it cost to invest with the Fidelity app?
Start with as little as $1 with no account fees or trade commissions on U.S. stocks and ETFs.
That's music to my ears.
I can only talk.
Investing involves risk, including risk of loss. Zero account fees apply to retail brokerage accounts only. Sell order assessment fee not included. A limited number of ETFs are subject to a transaction-based service fee of $100. See full list at fidelity.com/commissions. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC, member NYSE, SIPC.
So Justin Timberlake is kind of one of the main flagship members. He clearly was the most popular, although, if you talk to NSYNC fans, they all had their favorites, so they'll definitely say that JT was, or that JC was the guy. His vocal chops were just as good, if not better, than JT's, but JT was always getting the limelight. Mm-hmm. And so,
well, he also was with Britney Spears. And so, these types of relationships make people go crazy.
Yeah. And he's just your typical narcissist. I'm just going to say it.
Yes.
That's basically what he is in a nutshell. And so obviously he went out and realized, hey, I'm the one carrying the band. So why don't I, instead of splitting it 5 ways, why don't I just go ahead and just do my own solo career? Which makes sense. They all do it, But Beyonce did it, and this has happened so many times before, and it will happen again.
Right.
But the thing is, the way that he did it was very deceptive. He told the group, we're just going on a 1-year hiatus, so that way I can just do my solo thing and kind of get that on my system. And so they were like, okay, great. Like, they all agreed to it, just saying, great, yeah, sure, go do your thing. We all need a break anyways. We've been traveling. We're doing all these tours. This is a good thing. And then it never circled back around. The conversation never happened. And they were just kind of left holding the bag. And, a lot of them, you think, oh, they have all this money. But it turns out, just the way that the contracts were structured at the time, that they really didn't get a lot of the rewards for all of the work that they were putting in. They didn't reap what they sowed. Unfortunately, it was the band manager who really had done that.
I've watched a lot of these videos, essays, and it's like, to what degree they are true. Like, most of them are pretty, they're just reading, like, these are the stats, these are what happened. So they don't really get the behind the scenes because they weren't really there. But they do a good job. A lot of the, the YouTube essayists, I'm very impressed with many times. They're able to find a lot of these like interviews that are thrown together, make it make sense. But I'm just like, I've watched so many, and just as a millennial, that would have I would have 100% bought a ticket to that. And I was sorely disappointed. So moving into the actual movie that this was all for is Trolls Band Together. This is, as Morgan said, is the third. And in this one, Poppy discovers that Branch is one of a boy band, was part of a boy band called Brozone with his brothers, Floyd, John, Spruce, and Clay. When Floyd is kidnapped, Branch and Poppy embark on a journey to reunite the two other brothers and rescue Floyd. I did not see this in theaters. Morgan did.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. The moment the movie starts and I don't hear the voices of NSYNC as his brothers in this, I was like, all right, my bad mood is started. It's already downhill.
It was a very much a huge missed opportunity because, at this point they've really hit all of the different genres. The whole movie, the second movie was structured on like, what about genres outside of pop? So we hit the country and we hit kind of like the rap or the reggae, right? And so we hit all of those, and that was fun, right? Because this is a very musical genre, and so that made sense that there's all these other worlds that have other trolls and different styles of music. And this one, they focus on the subgenre of boy bands and boy band music, and so because of all the teasing that they had done for this, to me, it seemed like such a missed opportunity not to just cast NSYNC as the whole gang, as a very tongue-in-cheek, funny way to do it, because this is kind of the opposite of what happened. In this case, he was abandoned by the brothers in the movie, whereas in real life, he abandoned the quote-unquote brothers, right? So it just would have been... I feel like it would have gotten a lot more hype. It would have meant a lot more. It would have been cooler. And like these guys who ended up playing the brothers, they, to me, are kind of no-name nobodies. And first off, they weren't very cohesive to me. They didn't sound like brothers. It was a giant mishmash of people from all races and whatnot. And they sounded different, and families sound... You grow up and you talk the same. Like, it's just funny when you hear people like, wow, you're clearly related. And so, I'm not saying that like NSYNC, they do.
But they had already spent enough time together that you recognize them together.
Yes. And it kind of took me out of it because I was like, oh, these guys sound way different than him.
Yeah.
But, you get over it very quickly and it's fine. But I think that was more just me being hypercritical, the fact that they weren't cast. And so now I was really analyzing the actors. Like, okay, well, then why did you get picked if you were so much better than NSYNC? Because these guys, they really didn't have, because there were so many of them, they didn't have a ton to do. And so you didn't really need someone with a ton of acting chops. And a lot of these guys have done a lot of various acting roles, and it would have been fine. But yeah, but they do. But okay, I will say, I know people are going to try to correct me. NSYNC does appear at the end, because this movie is so stupid. Stupid because the boys come together and at the very end, they kind of get together and then Branch starts a new boy band without the brothers, which then includes these new members, which are Ablaze, Hype, Branch, Tricky, and Boom. And then they become the new Brozone. And it's actually the members of NSYNC. And it's just stupid because at the very end, they're doing this last number, which is the song that we'd all been hearing. And Better Place is what it was called. And it was like, well, this is kind of confusing. Why are we introducing even more characters into an already bloated world? Because by the third movie, this is always a problem, is you've introduced more characters along the way that the movie just starts getting really bloated because it's the Toy Story 4 problem. Who are we going to focus on? The new gang or the old gang, which you love?
Who's staying back in the trailer?
Yes, exactly. Toy Story 2. Bo Peep, she was the one left behind, right? So that didn't work for me at all. And that was really disappointing. I know this isn't catered to me, but if you're going to do a movie about boy bands, the 90s, early 2000s, that is the boy band era. So people who grew up during that time are going to appreciate it and get the jokes and the puns, and which they had those. And so that was funny to laugh because my kids definitely didn't laugh at those things. But I just needed that little extra bit, just cast NSYNC.
Yeah. So I'm looking at the Trolls Band Together soundtrack on Wikipedia page. And says in the background, or for background, it says Timberlake also reprising his role as Branch in the sequel. He had executive produced the soundtrack as he did with the predecessors. He described it to the director, Walt Dern, on how the film should celebrate boy bands as well as making fun of them slightly. They discussed about introducing musical numbers of boy bands throughout the decades in an organic manner and make it as a medley, which fits the narrative, which, okay, yes, I just, the fact that he had so much power, he could have gone in and just said, hey, this is what we're doing. I'm getting my boys back. This is completely us doing this.
That's the whole point. Band together. Yeah. The band is back together. Like, hello.
Right. Yeah. And to me, this is me not projecting, but like me believing I understand what's happening, which I probably don't, but still it's in my head. That's the perception that has been laid forth, is that he really didn't want them to have any higher name than him. So that's why he brings them back at the end. Oh yeah, we'll bring them back at the end as a nod to the audience. And I'm like, no, dude, we wanted all of you all like the entire time. And it just leans to me more into the narcissism side, that he just does not want them to outshine him.
Yeah, it's a power trip, it's a control thing, and it's the narcissist in him.
And the thing is, all of the others, like Lance Bass and all the others, like they're just so nice about it. Like they don't even like throw him under the bus, which I'm like, I don't know if I would or not. Like I would feel like I would want to, but they're also probably like, hey, our star is bigger with him in it. And his star can go on without us. So it's best to just kind of like let him do whatever he wants to do. But I just feel like if you are Justin Timberlake, your star is going to be bigger by bringing these guys back. You're going to be able to, a rising tide raises all ships. He doesn't see it that way, but it's fine. No, it's not. But that's why we're
harping on it.
Yeah. Because I just feel like that's what happened. Like when you watch all of the interviews that they do, like all the other, you read between the lines with all of the others, and it just comes across like, no, it is him. And there was that one video of like, well, I felt like we had this opportunity to do something that might not, like, I have this video in my head from him talking to the guys in the studio as part of the, yes, this is what we're doing for this brand new song. And I just feel like, no, dude, you could have done this. You could have done way more. This is way more than just an opportunity to do a song. Like you didn't want to. So I'm bitter, as you can probably tell. But anyway,
so let's talk about the actual movie now, because we have harped on this enough, and we've dunked on JT. Check, done.
We've been waiting to do that just so that I could do that, though.
This is one of the reasons why we actually really wanted to do the movie, because Chelsea really wanted to let everyone know. Me too.
We both did.
Yes,
we both did.
Our thoughts on this whole situation. So there you have it. Not impressed. Okay. Not happy, Bob. Not happy. So, this movie starts off with a wedding.
Yeah, that was weird because I had totally forgotten like those other two characters. After the second movie, They weren't really in it at all. And
the second movie actually did it right, where they kind of, those characters were involved, but we're not going to keep them involved for this one. So they move on to the new trolls. And in this one, they actually do it okay, where it's like, no, we're not bringing back the country trolls. We're not bringing back all these other trolls. We're letting them stay there. The main core is the main core. Other than the fact that now we're going to add 4 new people. Plus, 4 more at the end. So, it's like he always got to have a wedding, I guess. And it was really just as the impetus for one of the brothers to reach out and find him and to set them on their journey, which it was fine. But the Bergens are strange. This movie, it really struggles in the fact that it really wants to be creative, and the Trolls world is so cute. It looks like a scrapbook with all your felt and glitter and lots of fun things, right? That you can just explode onto a page, and it feels very tangible, and the textures are really, really great. And with this movie, I felt like they really struggled because they wanted to kind of push the envelope. And instead of keeping with that, they went to all these different worlds, and they introduced then new totally different aesthetics. So we have the Bergens, which are a little kind of like grungy and have an interesting look. And then we go into that like seashore area that's kind of like a Muppet world, which is strange. And then we go into the like pop world, which is kind of like a Fleischer, Betty Boop, design with like rubber hose arms. And it really threw me when I was watching it. I didn't like it because we were constantly going back from the Trolls world and then back to the pop world because they had a big piece to play. And visually, it was too much for me. I did not like that that's what they did. In the second movie, they kept it in like, you had different styles and genres of music, but then we established the visual narrative or the visual, the visual narrative, I guess you will, like what you're supposed to expect. And they're just constantly switching it up just to show like, hey, you're in a different world. And I felt like you could have said like, this is a different world, but still kind of kept it within the one art style that you've already created. It really bothered me. I did not like it.
It was a lot. It was kind of like just a little overload, but I didn't, it wasn't something that really caught me off as being like, I don't like this, but it was a lot. And I feel like, just like most stories, like there were a lot of parts of this that I was like, was this even needed like at all? Like, for example, Viva. Why did somebody think that we needed Viva? And I submit that we didn't. I don't think that we needed to throw in just because it's Camila Cabello. Like, do we really need this? No, I don't think so. And somebody was like, oh no, because Branch is able to see that even though they're different, that she and Anna Kendrick's character Poppy is like, they get along. It's just like it was too much. Like you didn't need her for this, and you could have done this in a different way. And I felt like it was just a lot of things. So that was my. You say that the art style was just a lot, and I thought yes, it's a lot. But then what pushed it over the edge for me was just like, why do we need more characters? There's no. I'm not getting to know any of these people. I mean, I kind of am. Like, okay, you understand that Viva is like thought that she was dead, like super traumatic. Like the Bergens coming in and eating them all. So I understand why there's this problem here. I don't know. It was just like I felt like the movie was fun, and it was. And Anna Kendrick does a fantastic job. Like she is Poppy. She embodies this character to the perfect degree that it's also not, I don't find it annoying. I find it just like, yeah, it's Anna Kendrick. Like, or yeah, it's Poppy, she's just, that's who she is. So I feel like she was good, but I don't know, just there was a lot of parts of the story that would have made more sense if you would have just like calmed it down just a little bit.
Yeah, I think the movie is at its best when it focuses on the trolls. When it starts going and veering off into these other worlds, it's really kind of loses the plot and gets kind of disjointed. When we focus on the brothers' relationship, they're new characters that are introduced. We have this tragic backstory that's, we get at the beginning where he's just baby Branch, he's kind of like the Michael Jackson of the Jackson 5, the youngest of the boy band who's kind of thrown into this and one of the most popular ones. And then they can't hit the perfect family harmony. And then they just kind of all break up. And then this terrible, when I say tragic backstory, I mean tragic backstory because they split apart and never talk to each other again. Yeah. Which is terrible for a family.
For 20 years.
Yes, and you have a baby brother, which he was an orphan.
You left with your grandma and grandma got eaten.
Yes.
Like, I understand why Branch is just like not a happy guy. I get it.
So then once they start reintroducing each other, they have to kind of go on this little mini missions to find, the one brother comes back to help them. Then they have to go back to find the rest of the gang because he can't escape. It's just so contrived, so funny. He can't escape until they hit the perfect family harmony. So they need, we need all our powers combined, to help him escape. It's kind of like Raya and the Last Dragon where they had to collect all the different elements, to unlock it, it's like a video game almost. Right. But it didn't feel so contrived that way. But when you sit back and you analyze it, you're like, okay, yeah, they had to collect everyone in order to do this. That was really funny. But I whenever the brothers were interacting and working, that's what I wanted to see the most. I just wanted to see them interacting, overcoming these family issues and obstacles, getting better, right? Because we're constantly distracted with other elements, it loses focus. So let's talk about Velvet and Veneer, the brother-sister pop duo.
I was lost with that one a little bit because they didn't really explain how she was able to get the brother, Floyd. They kidnapped Floyd and now have him as...
Floyd would have been perfect as Lance. I feel like Lance as Floyd being captured, it just would have worked so well.
Right. And he's in this diamond glass container, so it can only be broken one way. And like she keeps like spritzing out his aura onto her so that she can have a better singing voice.
Yes.
And it's just like every time she does this, I'm like, he should be dead now, right? Because she keeps saying, or somebody says or mentions like, oh, he doesn't look too good. Oh, he's not looking too good. And it's just like more and more and more. And he just like, man, like Floyd, you held on as long as you could. It was crazy. And then you had her personal assistant, which was like Crispy or something.
Yes.
I liked her. I was like, okay, I'm good with you. I don't know. The whole thing was just like, okay, I don't know what I'm watching.
Crimp.
Yes.
Crispy. Close enough. Yeah. It was an interesting view into, pop stardom and, speaking of narcissists and the things that people will do to get ahead, literally bringing others down and just stealing their essence. Not cool.
Yeah.
But so that was interesting. And did we need them? That's the question. Did we need this whole subplot?
I mean, I think you could have done something else without having a big baddie. Take a look at, like, for example, Finding Nemo is what comes to mind. How it's so, the story itself is big, but you're in similar areas. You're under the water. Yes, you're in different types of the water. So, okay, you have different colors and different things happening. But the crux of the story is on the individuals and how they interact and how they overcome these things together or by themselves. And I don't feel like there was a lot of overcoming that like stood out to me. There was, I mean, they did. It wasn't as impactful as I think it could have been. If the stakes hadn't been so out of this world, and instead of being kidnapped by crazy lunatics, if he was, in trouble from some other thing, or maybe just like having some other kind of issue. Okay, now we got to go save him, but it doesn't have to have a big baddie there. I feel like I liked how Finding Nemo did that. How it was not necessarily the big baddie of you have to defeat the dentist, but just like how to save him. Okay, how do you just get rid of him? Like it was just a lot more real. And I understand Trolls is not supposed to be real, but I understand. Okay. But I feel like being able to have those core interactions mean a little bit more. I don't know. There were moments where it was like, okay, Branch, like you're opening up. I see more of why you are a Debbie or not. What's the guy version? No, I was gonna say like Debbie Downer, but what's the guy? What's the guy version of that?
Donnie Downer? I don't know.
Okay, Donnie Downer. Hey, Don. I feel like that's where where it could have been improved upon is instead of going for these, lots of colors, lots of like craziness of them trying to get out of their costumes of the big baddies, like they could have had it something else that was more introspective. I don't know. They're trying to do this for kids. So
one thing I didn't realize was that the voices of them were Amy Schumer was Velvet, which I wouldn't even have put that together.
No, I wouldn't have.
She did have a different singing voice. Thank goodness. It's okay. If you want to hire a celebrity, just hire a professional to do their singing voice. It is okay.
Right.
Let's bring back the 90s. And the brother was Andrew Rannells, who is a Broadway guy. So obviously he sings his part. And I thought he was funny. He was good. And it was very obvious from as soon as we kind of met them and they have their inner conflict that she was the alpha, he was the beta, and that he never really was into what was happening. And so it very quickly we realized, okay, he's gonna turn and have a change of heart, if you will. So, yeah, interesting. Yeah, again, I just Amy Schumer, I couldn't seem like a missed opportunity because this wasn't a funny role. It just was.
No, it wasn't.
That's okay. So interesting. Yeah. Again, the voice cast is kind of all over the place. If they could have just consolidated it, you could have just had NSYNC. Life would have been good.
It would have been good.
So
man.
So the music was interesting in this because, we get our Trolls moments where they sing their songs, and that's what these are known for, especially after the first one where the soundtrack was such a hit and that song got this feeling. And, they had a variety of different songs, that they had. We had Dolly Parton's 9 to 5, Sweet Dreams from Eurythmics, and then, then we had the boy band tracks, which were Perfect and Better Place. Anna Kendrick, she's not the star in this one. This is really Branch's story, so we don't get much of her. But we get a few, like a little sprinkling of songs. It Takes Two is one of them that she's in. So for the most part, the songs were kind of meh. It didn't reach the levels of the first one, in my opinion.
No. If you look at the songs, it's just like, let's get married. I don't remember any of these songs. Brozone's back. Brozone's back. Yeah. All right. I felt like that was a good nod. They even threw in Menudo in there. I was like, oh, there you go. I mean, I there were a lot of things that I really appreciated, and I felt like he did a good job of throwing in all of the different boy bands of the generations that people would remember. He did not mention the Jackson 5. It was basically millennials on down, which I mean, I get, because that's who's he's expecting to go see this. But, millennials and their kids. Yeah, so I feel like they could have done, they did do Jackson 5 if you were looking into that, if you knew that that's what Baby Branch was supposed to be. But I don't know. I feel like I'm really down on this movie just because I was like, oh, so many things. Justin, you ruined this for me. But it was, all in all, I felt like the movie was probably like a 3.5 stars. Like, it was above it was not a bad movie. I felt like if you're with kids, how do your kids like it? I feel like they probably
my kids really liked it. They thought it was fun and they enjoyed it, and they actually gave us so we went to the press screening and they gave us little merch, which were these beaded bracelets that In My Trolls Era, which was spot on, perfect for the moment. 2023 was the Era tour, or the Eras tour, and so obviously playing on that and kind of hitching onto that wagon was smart. And so
very smart.
Yeah, so we had those little bracelets that we wore, which was really fun. And they didn't really talk about this movie after the fact. And I think that's something that really is how you know if a movie made an impact. This movie, maybe they did a little bit, but I can't really recall. But definitely Wish. After we saw Wish, they have never mentioned Wish again. They've never talked about Wish. They've never talked about like the plushies or wanting to, have the characters or the dolls or anything. It's just, it was in one year and out the other, and they don't care. Whereas when we saw Kung Fu Panda 4, they want to watch the TV show now. There's a TV show on, I think, Netflix or Amazon Prime. They're interested. They kind of like those characters. That's the only movie they've seen, which I thought was interesting. Trolls, they thought it was fine. And yeah, so we have a summer movie thing where you can buy a pack of tickets to go see, once a week and go see some movies for $1 each. It's $8 to see 8 movies over the course of the summer. So that way if you miss a week or whatever, it's not a big deal. And I'm looking at all the movies, and it's kind of a repeat of the movies we've already seen this year. And I'm like, do I want... I don't think I'm going to buy the pass. And the summer movie fun this year, it's Leo, which is on Netflix. They haven't seen. Trolls Band Together, maybe. Sonic the Hedgehog, which we have not seen, and I think they would actually really enjoy. The Paw Patrol Mighty movie, we're just not going to see that. That's not a thing. The Ninja Turtles movie, I think they would like that. Paddington 2, which I would prefer them to see Paddington first. Migration, which we recently saw, and maybe I should have held off until this. And then Chicken Run, Dawn of the Nugget. So... yeah, having seen Trolls already, I don't think I want to go see Trolls again. But there are a few on here that we'll go see. So I'm not going to buy the pass. I'm just going to buy the a la carte. But yeah, maybe if they beg me to see it, because if cousins go, they usually want to go. We'll see. But I don't really need to see this one again. I think at this point, Trolls is done. So we were talking about the box office. So the original one did $347 million. The second one did $48 million, because that's really when things were starting to shut down again. And so we don't know how much it did video on demand, but we heard it just did phenomenal. They haven't really reported what that was. Let's see. In August, it's estimated the film made about $150 million in rentals. So again, probably equivalent to the 200-ish million that this one did. So it's funny because based on how big the first movie was, I didn't really expect it to only do 350 million. I kind of would have thought it would be at least over 500 million based on how Trolls was everywhere, it seemed, after this movie came out, especially the soundtrack. But it's just interesting what hits, what doesn't, what level warrants getting a sequel or threequel. I'm surprised that a third movie even happened based on everything that happened with the release of the second. It really knocked the wind out of your sails.
It really did. I mean, but that was not its fault. I felt like the movie itself was not bad. I don't remember much about it, but I don't remember it as being bad. But because of that, it did lack in how well it was promoted. And the promotion of this really kind of stopped once it came out. It was just like they were like, no, we're not gonna, we already see this is done. And it's like they could have done so much with it. And that's one of the sad things. It's like, okay, it could have been a contender.
So I rated it 3 stars.
Okay.
It's toe-tapping fun. This is what I put from my review. Ultimately, Trolls Band Together is toe-tapping fun, yet a forgettable family flick. The movie's at its best when it sticks to the classics and its titular topic, Trolls. Everything else just feels like elevator music. What I wrote.
Yeah.
Sticking to it.
No, it's true. I will go along with that as well. Let us know in the comments of this on the website what you guys think. You can also send us a voicemail. Voicemails are very much appreciated. You can either go to rotoscopers.com/voicemails, or you can dial 406-646-6575. I would like to know how other people thought about this movie, because I was blinded by
It was an okay movie, but could have been. There's little easy things that could have made it a lot better.
Yeah.
All right, guys, that's all we have for today. Until next time, we are the Rotoscopers.
Yeah, I was planning on doing the Who Owns What the next week.
Let's look at the calendar. Okay, so next week we're going to do the current state of the animation industry. When this Garfield, I know I talked to them that If movie, we will be getting a pass, but it's not out yet, so they don't have info. So that's not necessarily animated, but
it has animation.
I feel like it's one of the, I don't know. We need to talk about this, like the state of children's movies, children's live action movies, particular. Because I feel like, do you remember movies like Blank Check or like A Night in King Arthur's Court? Or
that would be a good one. Yeah.
Just movies like that. Even like Home Alone 2, Shark Boy and Lava Girl. I feel like they don't make kiddie movies like that anymore. Like I'm looking at there's another movie theater chain, the old Dollar Theater at Superstition Springs.
Richie Rich, come on now.
They have
bring out all of the Macaulay Culkin movies,
like Peter Rabbit and Sonic. But those are like, they have the animated element where like a main character is like an animated character. I feel like we don't see these movies anymore where the kid is the star, and it's just like a kid movie. Sandlot. Little Rascals. I'm gonna add that to the list.
Add that,
even though it's not like the state of live action kids movies.
And those were big movies that still live rent free in my mind.
Yes, core memories going to those ones.
Yeah, yes.
So
and you have all the Macaulay Culkins, and you also have all of the Mary-Kate and Ashley's.
Yes,
there was a whole slew of those. Yeah.
You've been listening to the Animation Addicts Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe and be sure to leave us a 5-star review. We're available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you want to help spread the word, be sure to share the podcast with your friends on social media. Just don't forget to tag us at Rotoscopers on Instagram and use the hashtag Animation Addicts. For all the links and full show notes for this episode, go to rotoscopers.com/podcast. Now, if you still can't get enough for your animation fix, be sure to subscribe to us on YouTube and visit rotoscopers.com for more animation news, reviews, and interviews. Thanks for listening.